Am I the idiot for not giving my brother half of the house and business? By male 38. Parents died when I was 23 and my little brother, Adam, 27 male, was 12. He inherited my parents' money and an account with me as pay until he turned 18. But he asked me to manage the account for him after that. It paid for his needs until he graduated and got a job in 2016, and it sat until 2020. I inherited the house, the family business, and massive debt. I planned to sell the business and house and move him to live with me. But Adam had a massive meltdown, and the therapist I sent him to insisted he needed to be close to friends. Even though we had no other family there and my entire life was in another country. Against my better judgment, I moved 4,800 kilometers back home. I quit my old job and broke my lease, tried to maintain a long-distance relationship with my GF at the time, juggling my parents' business and trying to pay for a house with most of the mortgage left all by myself. I started dating Emily, now 34, when Adam was 16, and when he moved for college, he gave Emily his blessing to move in with me. We got married when Adam was 21 and we are expecting our first child. Emily helps me run the business, which barely survived 2020, the house is paid off, and I'm starting to turn a small profit again. In 2020, Adam lost his job, and I gave him the rest of his money in his account to support himself, and he asked me to handle the bills. Every month I'd send him some food money and let him know his updated balance. He doesn't have enough to pay for the remainder of his lease, October, and I warned him in January that Emily and I can't afford to support him. I gave him two options: get a job and pay his rent, and I'd pay his food bill, or move home and live with us for free while working for the family business. He lost it, saying that it was my fault for sacrificing my life for the business and the house, and that he shouldn't have to give up his life, since I was supposed to take care of him. I told him I gave up my entire life for him, and I struggled to keep the house and the business alive because he wanted me to. So I don't have cash to spare to support him because I have employees and a baby on the way. He insisted I sell the house and business and give him his half, and I reminded him that those were my part of the inheritance, not his, that I paid most of the mortgage, and I kept the business alive, and I didn't want to give up everything I worked. Our grandparents are the only living relatives we have. They live in a territory overseas and refused to take Adam or help us because my parents didn't leave them anything. So I was stunned when I received an angry phone call from my grandma calling me a greedy bastard and telling me I should be taking care of my little brother. I reminded her that he's 27 and needs to get a job and take care of himself, and I let her know I offered him both a home and a job with me, and he said no. Comments before the update. Not the idiot. If grandma is that concerned that her grown-ass grandson needs to be taken care of, she's free to take him in and finance his life. You've done your part and now it's time for him to grow up and do his. You're the idiot for enabling him this long. I got an inheritance too when I was young. I spent it on student loans and a mortgage so that I could support myself. I can't stand people that weaponize their incompetence, or the fools that enable them. If you let this man move in with you, you will ruin your growing family. It's time to make room for your actual child. Update. A few days after my post was judged, I sat down and had a video call with Adam. I told him that by the time I was his age, I had been raising him for 4 years already, and I had willingly supported him through the global pandemonium. But now the job market was the workers' market, and it was time to get a job again. He laughed and asked if I was serious, and I told him I was, that I was removing myself as a payee on his account, period. Because he had been an adult for almost 10 years, and it was time for him to act like one. I said I did my duty and then raised him, but I have an actual baby coming that I need to raise. I handed off all financial responsibility to him and wished him the best. He tried to backtrack and accept a position and home here with me, and I told him the offer no longer stood because I couldn't trust him to be a good houseguest to my wife and eventually my baby. Nor could I trust him to not pull the "my brother owns this business" card that a few pointed out, too. I told him he needed to stand on his own 2 feet, not for me, but for himself. That he needed to learn to be independent. There was yelling and crying after that, but when I hung up, I was dead certain it would be the last time I ever heard from my brother again. I heard from my grandparents during that time, but I told them point blank that unless they were offering to financially support a 27-year-old man, that I was done having any conversations with them regarding Adam and his inability to be responsible for himself. To my surprise, he called me today to tell me he just got hired for a new job that he starts in 2 weeks, broke his lease and moved to a smaller, more affordable apartment, and met his new neighbors, a brother and sister who helped move in his boxes and unpack his kitchen. They already have invited him to their next game night with their friends. He's still a little sore that I wouldn't let him be part of our parents' legacy, but he realizes he wouldn't have a new job and new friends if I hadn't kicked him into gear, and that with the way he acted. He didn't deserve it anyway. Not the idiot. You're the man. I obviously hope my son doesn't have to go through what you did, but if he did, I hope he would handle it like this. Family first always, even though you had to be firm in the end. From this end it sounds like your judgment was sound. Good luck to you both with these new and exciting chapters of your life. Do you think the outcome is unfair? Let me know in the comments. Am I the idiot for not telling my parents when my surgery is? I, male 23, I'm having surgery soon. I am a trans man, meaning I was born female. I am finally getting my breasts removed. I called my mom today to talk to her about a job I applied for but did not get that far. She asked me about my surgery. I had already decided I did not want additional stress leading up to or right after my surgery. Those who know when the date would be people that need to know. I told her this. She responded with, "Oh, it's not like I am family or anything." Then she hung up. My mom has a habit of telling everyone everything. Recently she expressed greatest disapproval in me being trans and revealed she does not accept me as male. By recently I mean last week. I have been out for over a year. Along with that, one of my roommates told me the other roommate has expressed their own distaste for my choices. Being trans is not a choice. It is who I am. Both these events have stressed me out and it has taken me a bit to settle my nerves since. My therapist agreed I should keep the number of people who know low as I have GAD that can often cause issues for me and those around me. This was also today and it was my final appointment with this therapist as she is moving on to other things. I thought I was doing what was right for me and my health, but now I am not sure. Am I the idiot for not telling my mom my surgery date? Comments before the update. Not the idiot. It's completely your choice on whom to tell what, especially in regards to decisions about your own body. Your mom might be offended, but that doesn't mean you're the one in the wrong here. She shouldn't expect to be able to run you down about your gender and then be included in the list of people who know big milestones. Not the idiot. You don't need people like her around for something like this. Honestly, I wouldn't even talk to her except possibly to try to educate her until she apologizes. Honestly, I'd be worried she'd start something at the hospital. Update. Since my last post, a lot has happened. One person had commented about hoping my mom was not an emergency contact still. She is not, however she knows all my personal information. I called my doctor's office and set up a password for phone calls. I do not believe she ever called before I changed it. I will eventually have a friend become my power of attorney for medical stuff. This, however, could not be done before my surgery. I spoke with my mom often before my surgery. In the beginning after my post she was upset and trying to ask about the date. And that usually looked something like this: when is the "oh right, you don't want me to know." Things got better over time until the surgery happened. We even went shopping together and she helped me find some clothes and shoes. On my surgery day, my roommate called to let her know that I was in pre-opus. She was angry and did not want to hear any of it. I called her after my surgery and she was still angry and did not want to hear it. I know she cares though. On the shopping trip she asked for a call after my surgery so she knows I am okay. If I hadn't and she had instead seen a Facebook post about it, I'm not sure she would have been so forgiving, if you can call it that. As for anything else that did not really fit into those two main points, my surgery went well. Though my left side may be a bit off, it still feels better than how my chest used to feel. I had 2 major anxiety attacks 2 days before my surgery, but I was okay, mostly the day of. A lot of my strength in that month leading up to the surgery was thanks to my Reddit mom. A Reddit user offered to be my temporary mom. I am very glad I took her up on that offer. And of course, if not for all those who commented on my first post, I probably would have told mom the surgery date. Oh my goodness, I am wonderful at procrastination. I finished typing this update on September 12th. Today is September 16th. I spoke with my mom on the phone again. We briefly talked about family and upcoming plans, ideas. My mom at one point very easily said, "You are my son." It is the first time I have ever heard her use this sentence. I am so happy that she finally hit that point even if my dad is not there yet. This was a huge step and I am very happy that I get to share that milestone with you all. Many deemed her as transphobic, but it is really just her not quite understanding because of her age. 73. That is all I have for you all now, and I hope this was the update no one asked for but people needed. Not the idiot. Thank you for telling us how it turned out. I'm glad the surgery went well and that things are improving with your mom. As for the transphobic thing, I think you're probably right. It sounds like she's making an effort. As long as that effort continues, it seems fair and right to be understanding of the fact that this can be a difficult adjustment for a parent, especially at that age. It sounds like you're making some real progress. I wish you all the happiness in the world. This is honestly so amazing, and Opus, I, a random stranger, am extremely proud of you. Good going. I know how hard it is to get parents to understand you when they're this old. But I'm so happy for you, man. Good for you. Should he have told them where the surgery was? Let me know in the comments. Am I the idiot for not wanting my girlfriend to decorate my apartment? I, male 29, have been with my girlfriend, female 24, for 2 years now. We have not lived together before, but she's currently 18 weeks pregnant, so I suggested that she move in with me once her lease was up. It ended at the end of June, so she's been living with me for almost 3 weeks now. While we get along well and overall living together has been great, I've noticed that she started to change things around my apartment. She only brought a few things over since my apartment is fully furnished, so I understand her need to make it feel more like her space. Everything in my apartment is mid-century modern. It's a mid-century modern building and I bought the apartment because of how much I love that style. Some of the things that she's suggesting or bringing into the apartment absolutely do not go with that vibe. She's taken down some of my artwork and replaced it, cleared off shelves I curated and put her knickknacks on it, went through my pantry and cleared out things she thought were unhealthy, all without asking me. She works from home while I work in the office, so she has a lot more time at the apartment than I do. I just wish she would run things by me first. I'm an architect. She's an editor and doesn't have that same designer eye, which clearly shows. What really bothered me was that she started to throw some things away without asking. I went to take out the trash and saw that some birthday cards I kept were in there. When I asked about it, she said she was just getting rid of clutter, but her stuff is more like clutter and mine has actual sentimental value. I told her to stop touching things in the apartment, and she pointed out that she should have a say because she lives there, which I agree with, but she doesn't run anything by me. Now she's being very avoidant and passive-aggressive. So, am I the idiot? Comments before the update. Everyone sucks here. You do realize that when you have a baby, your carefully curated apartment vibe will change very much, right? That said, she shouldn't be throwing your stuff out without asking you. Time to sit down, have an adult conversation and come up with a compromise. Everyone sucks here. I would have said NT if not for the I told her to stop touching things in the apartment. She has an equal say in what your space looks like and a right to make it feel like home for her. She's tough for making changes without talking to you, and especially for throwing some of your stuff out without your consent. You guys need to have a talk and reach a compromise. Did you go out of your way to make her feel like the home is hers when she moved in? It doesn't necessarily sound like that's the case. Update. We talked about it and agreed to have a decluttering day and to go over some of the things that could be updated, then have a shopping trip together this weekend. I really do want to make her feel more at home in our apartment, so we're going to make it feel less like a bachelor pad and more like a family home. I also opened up to my therapist about all this, and now I'm being evaluated for OCD, which was recommended before, but I was in denial about it. I thought that how I felt was just because I have never had a roommate before, and I just don't know how to share a space. But it's like one thing that's out of place will be the only thing that I can think about all day, which apparently is not normal. So I'll continue to go to therapy, maybe couples therapy if we really hit a wall, but so far we've both been more open with how we feel and trying to communicate better. I mentioned this in the comments, but I have signed up for parenting classes, both for myself to go to and for my girlfriend and I to go together. A lot of you recommended books, podcasts, and other subreddits. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate all the advice, and I'm really trying to do better. Not the idiot. This is a great update. I'm so glad you're taking care of your mental health proactively. I was diagnosed with OCD in my teens, but my symptoms were always mild. After I had my daughter at age 30, they became a lot more severe and really interfered with my ability to function. Getting out ahead of this is the best thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for your family.